Hello and welcome to your special personalized lesson on how to juggle 3 balls. Now these balls are special juggling balls that are kind of soft and squishy and weighted. They're a little heavier than a normal ball would be, but you'll find a heavier ball kind of makes it easier to learn when you're first learning to juggle. The bean bags that I gave you guys are nice because when they drop on the floor, they don't bounce all over the room. So bean bags are often very nice for learning to juggle. Lacrosse balls are probably the perfect size and weight for learning to juggle. A heavier ball is slightly easier. Tennis balls are a great size, but they're so light they may bounce out of your hand in a certain kind of way. Golf balls might be a little on the small side. Once you get good, you can juggle any size and shape of anything. We'll cover clubs maybe later. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I want to start with 3 balls. Now, there's one most important thing to know about juggling. It is not about catching a ball. It is not about catching. Juggling is about learning how to throw a ball in a certain way. So if you've had any ball sport where you had like baseball, where you have to throw the ball very specifically over the line, or football, it's a different kind of ball, but still, anytime you've had to have accuracy in where you throw a ball, you'll have an advantage, at least with one hand, with one arm, in juggling. It is about where you throw it. The catching is a reflex. The catching is automatic. If you just hold your hand out and the ball comes, the hand, I don't have to look at my hand to catch it, right? The hand will just automatically catch it. And that's why when it's a heavier ball, the hand just naturally wraps around it more. It makes the catching easier. So it's really about where you throw it. The second most important thing about juggling is that most people have one side of their body that they are have more agility with. And if you're right-handed or left-handed, although I'm right-handed and I do cartwheels to the left, or whatever, you know, whatever you do. I know golf goes left. So, but you're going to have one hand you're better at throwing with. That's the good news. The other good news is that the hand that isn't as good can learn from the hand that's good. So the part of your body that knows what to do, the other part can watch and go, oh, I see, like that. So be patient with yourself if, for example, you're left, oh, lipstick. See, my lips match the ball. If one hand keeps throwing the ball forward, that's absolutely natural. What's great about learning to juggle is by doing it, there is a hypothesis that you are aligning the 2 sides of the brain, that different sides of the brain tend to work different sides of the body. And so it's kind of the tail wagging the dog by being ambidextrous and using both sides of the body. The idea is anyway you can access both sides of the brain. I think that's a hypothesis, and I do not have any medical studies to show on that, so toss that out if you like. So the other most important thing about juggling is you do it 1 ball at a time. So start with the ball in whichever hand is your best hand to throw. Your arms are going to be at your side with your elbows at your side, but away from the body. You don't want the elbows tight in. You're going to want them away from the body. The hands are going to be doing this. You're not going to want your shoulders up and your hands up. That happens a lot when you start. But you're going to want to keep coming back to this kind of a, you know, feet about a little wider than shoulder distance apart, knees bent, and hands about here. And you want to take the ball in whichever hand, and you want to throw it so it goes like a McDonald's arch to the other, like that. And just kind of keep doing it with one hand, right? And when you get good at that, and at the beginning, sometimes if you're not used to throwing balls, it may go forward, but don't, and the reason the ball goes forward is that there's a natural, ooh, I don't want to throw a ball at myself. You're going to be fine. So sometimes when the balls go forward, that's just, you have to compensate for that. And I'll talk about how to do that later. So you have your hands, elbows just slightly out from the body, and you just practice throwing it from one side to the other. anywhere, the top of it being usually somewhere in front of your eyes. Your vision, your eyes, you're looking at the top of where, you're not watching this hand throw, you're not watching this hand catch. You're watching the top of where the ball is, right? For the most part. So do that a few times, then on the other side do it a few times. And my left is my worst side, right? And just do it a few times on that side. Then go back and forth with one ball. Now notice when I start doing this, there's a natural rhythm that happens and the hands just naturally kind of go down and up. This is where the throwing happens. It's not a wrist thing. It's kind of the arm. It's a easy flow motion back and forth. Got it? Okay. When you can do that back and forth relatively well, you can move on to two balls. If, for example, on the left hand, it goes forward, which is very common. You might go fine with this and then the left one goes forward. If that happens, what we do when we're training people to juggle, we have somebody stand right beside you. So if somebody was standing right beside me facing front and they had their hand out here. So the idea is that I'm tossing it to them. The idea is you think on the left hand, oh, I'm tossing it to him, like that. And then it goes perfectly into your hand, right? That helps correct it when it goes forward. Just think. So whenever anybody's doing that, I come up and I stand beside them and I go toss it into my hand and I just stand here like this and they get that, all right? I'm doing it on video now, so I'm being all the people. Then get a second ball. And juggling, the way you learn juggling is very interesting. With most skills, you wait till you've mastered something and then you move on to the next step. With juggling, not so. When you've just barely got something, you don't really have it solidly, you move on to the next step. I was taught by one of the circus masters in the world, actually, juggling masters who teaches, master teachers of juggling. And he would always, you just barely had it and push you on to the next thing. There's a couple reasons about why you do that in the learning process. It keeps you from getting too bored. And it also is very interesting. You probably won't have it, but then you move on to the next thing. And then when you go back to try that one, you've got it, no problem. So it kind of bypasses a place in the brain that goes, oh, this is as good as I can do it. And it just kind of treads right over it and goes forward. I may edit this. We'll see. Okay, so let's say you've got one ball going back and forth. Then you get two balls. What you're going to do with two balls is you're going to first throw with one ball, and when one ball is right smack in the middle of the air, then you throw the other. So it's going to be throw, throw, catch, catch. So it's going to go throw, throw, catch, catch. Except you don't drop it. Right? All right, let's do this. Right? Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. And then do it from the other side. Throw, throw, catch, catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. And you'll see I'm pretty uneven because I don't juggle that much. But you do it with regularity, these will become absolutely perfect and even. So then you've got two balls going. And again, when you start doing that, the left hand or whatever hand you're not dominant on, when you get two, the left hand's going to have a tendency to throw it forward again. Just start to keep track. Like you don't have to, you got the right one. So just watch the left hand. So I'm doing this. Oh, I'm watching the left hand, right? Okay, it doesn't matter if you dropped one. In circus class, when we're practicing juggling, if you drop a ball, he sat there and said, but you've got two more. He wants you to keep going till all the balls are dropped, right? Dropping isn't a problem. You know, it's like, oh, they're all going to drop, but you had another ball you could have thrown because it's not about catching, it's about the throwing. So you could have practiced throwing two more balls. That's Hovey Burgess is the man that I studied with and worked with outside. In fact, after the class I worked with him. So anyway, that's the theory on that. Okay, so after you get the two balls and you get these kind of going back and forth pretty well, right? Then you add a third ball. Now when you add a third ball, the biggest thing for most people is that you've got to at one point start with 2 balls in one hand. And these balls are big for me. You can see my hands are kind of small, so these balls are a little big. So the thing to do to begin with is practice that first throw, because if the first throw gets off, then you're catching up and trying to catch all these missed throws or wild throws. So the thing to do to begin with is practice with 2 balls in one hand. You're going to grip with your little finger and the kind of palm of your hand. You're going to grip one ball, and so the other ball you've got your top 3 fingers, and you're going to practice just throwing with that way, keeping this ball here, and you're going to practice that first throw, right? That's the only time you will ever have 2 balls in one hand, when you begin and when you end. Okay? So let's assume you just practice that a few times again. You do not practice until you're excellent. You move on to the next thing and then go back, and you will find you got better. Okay? So then it's always the same. What we did with the 2 balls, we do with the 3. As soon as a ball is up here at the top, you throw a ball from the other side. When the ball's up there on the top from this side, you throw a ball from this side. So it goes like this. Throw, throw, catch, catch, throw, catch, throw, catch, throw, catch, right? And notice where I'm looking. I'm not watching the catch. By watching the top of the ball, I get a sense of where the ball is going. And my hand will just automatically be there. And again, because these are heavier, you just put your hand out and you catch it. I will do them with the balls with the bean bags that I showed you. In fact, I'll do that right now. Here's the ones I sent you. These are meant for learning juggling. These are a perfect size. They're nice and squeezable. They fit well in the hand, and when they fall, they don't bounce, so you're not chasing balls all over the room. If you use tennis balls, they'll be all over the place. So what's nice about these is, and I gave them to you in 3 different colors, when you start doing tricks, you can keep track of where the balls are in a certain way. You don't need them to be different colors to keep track of where they are, but that's kind of fun. So these are with yours. Now these are so much lighter. And notice my hands were high, and then I just lowered my hands. But like I can also, for example, my hands can, like here, I started doing it like that. That's not exactly right. The hand should be down here. You can, if you want more time, if it's going too quickly, you can throw them higher. So it will all slow down the higher you throw. It takes more time for the ball to go through the air, right? See how slow that is? And I'm not doing them all even, but you get a sense of that, right? Okay, great. And that concludes, whoops. And that concludes how to juggle 3 balls, 1 ball at a time. Oh, also one thing, it's easier when you begin juggling because you're trying to focus on the balls, that you do it against a white wall or a wall that doesn't have a lot of, see this kind of a background? That's perfect for juggling to have in the background. If you have like pictures and a lot of colorful objects, it can be more distracting and harder to see the ball. So, because right now I'm doing it, the nice background's behind me, but over here it's quite busy. I've got bookshelves and all sorts of things over there. So it's much harder for me to see the ball, but that would be the last thing I'm going to say about that for learning to juggle 3 balls. And see, even though it gets uneven, I can see where it's going to go because I'm watching the top.